What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the altar again, and this time we are here with Gautier, or the almighty Igorrr. It is so great to be able to have you here. Thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you here. Your recent show at Irving Plaza was truly a magical experience. I don't consider an Igorrr show to really be a concert as much as it is like just entering an alternate reality. I just love how you were performing this, and being that Spirituality and Distortion was the soundtrack to lockdown, it was very like cathartic to finally hear this live. I mean, we'll start with like the most basic touring question, but how has it been finally playing these songs in front of an audience after having to sit? You're actually the last tour to make up that got canceled from COVID, so that's how.
Yeah, it feels amazing to play finally that tracks in front of an audience because we were waiting for so long before doing that. The album has been released in March 2020, so we had to wait a few years before we could play those tracks in front of an audience, and the feeling has been amazing. And we had to wait a couple of more years to play this in America. And since we are here, we are on tour in America right now. And the feedback from the audience is incredible. We didn't expect having such a crazy feedback. You know, we are living the dream.
Yeah, no, it's truly like a dream to finally hear this. It's just so funny, like having that ticket sitting in my Ticketmaster account since you like announced the tour in like early 2020, and like it's been sort of, I finally made up every show that got canceled from COVID that got moved. But was there sort of like a vision behind Spirituality and Distortion? Because your previous album, Savage Sinusoid, had a very Baroque sort of theme behind it and a very like Victorian operatic sort of aura, where this almost kind of has like Middle Eastern instruments. It kind of has like a different kind of theme and vibe. Was that a vision you went into making this album?
You mean Savage Sinusoid or Spirituality and Distortion?
Spirituality and Distortion.
Spirituality Distortion has a more dark meaning. It's more spiritual than the previous one. Yes, I was more in the mood of having dark music because I was getting through a dark path in my life. So the things I wanted to express the more was more like spiritual. Yeah, that's how I went there with this album. It was something very deep, and there is even some tracks on the album that I composed like more than 10 years ago. Like Lost in Introspections. This track was composed when I was a teenager, and I didn't find the right instrumentalist to perform it the way I wanted. So it was a track really deep and really important for me to release in the right moment. And Spirituality and Distortion was the right place to release this track. And yeah, there was something really heavy on this album that I wanted to express. Something also really distorted. But as all the Igorrr tracks, there is the contrast between the light and the dark, between the silence and the noise. So a lot of things on this album are pretty much distorted.
Well, I could just tell, maybe this is just being a huge fan, but when you compare Nostril to Hallelujah to Savage Sinusoid to now, it almost seemed, I could tell what song would be off of which album, but your music is also very experimental. When it comes to, bringing in new sounds, it almost seems like there's no restrictions for Igorrr, right? You could incorporate elements from everywhere.
That's right. I'm still, it's a non-stop research. Even after Spiritual Distortion, I went back to searching for new sounds and new colors of sound. Yes, it's an infinite process. Always looking for something new. Always looking for something interesting. Something that hasn't been done. I'm always hungry of new sounds. And that's what I'm doing when I am not on tour. Like right now, this is what I'm doing: searching for new sounds, new colors.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of my favorite songs ever on Igorr's catalog is actually Absolute Psalm off the Hallelujah album. I think the way that song just completely moves and has its many different vibes. And then the way that you bring in all of these aspects. Does inspiration just strike out of the blue in a way, or do you almost kind of like go looking for an appropriate sound for an appropriate song? Do you look for inspiration, or does it strike you?
Like for every track, things are logical to me, and I don't force. Things come by themselves. Absolute Psalm is a pretty extreme track, but it just come by itself, you know. It's funny because I heard this track recently because we were talking with a friend about it, and I haven't heard this track for I don't know, like 7 years, and it was really weird to listen to a track that I haven't heard for so long. It was a track coming from somebody else's mind, you know, and Absolute Psalm is it's for me like a logical construction of musical ideas, you know. I didn't force anything. It's just the right riffs, the right color, the right sound to do in this track, you know.
And that's a sign. If you're hearing about this more than once, maybe bring it back into the set list in the future. Just an idea. I can't wait to be in that mosh pit. But is all of the sounds that you incorporate in Igorrr, is that coming from your own personal emotions and your own personal experiences in a way, or is there like a lot of external sources of inspiration within your sound too, where maybe it's good for the song, but maybe it's not a reflection of maybe your personal life?
Well, everything I write in Igorrr is the perfect photograph of what is inside of me. And since Savage Sinusoid, the sound I use for that are coming exclusively from my studio and my own recordings. But before Savage Sinusoid, it was different samples and different sounds that I found from outside of my studio because I didn't have the right microphone, the right place, the right possibilities to have my own sounds. And since Savage Sinusoid, all the sounds and all the colors are coming exclusively from my own library samples that I'm doing with my own instruments and microphones. And that comes. They are how you say in English? They're like a representative of how I feel. And my process and my goal in Igorrr is to show as much precisely and honestly and perfectly those feelings. So the sounds reflect exactly what I feel, what I actually feel.
But it's funny you mentioned that too, because you said you had a song of Spirituality and Distortion that you've had for quite a while, for about 10 years. So do you find it maybe the longer you sit on something or the longer it takes you to finish something, that makes it a little bit more difficult to sort of capture that moment and capture that emotion?
That depends on the tracks, actually. Some of the tracks are made easier than others. About Lost in Introspection, the track has changed a bit through the years, but the bass and the color, for example, Lost in Introspection for me is blue, kind of like purple blue, it's something in between. The color hasn't changed even a bit. So the most important is for me is here, but the shape changed a bit.
And your music is so very organic too, despite having all your different sounds in it. The way that, you know, you all just go into it on stage, the way that you get lost in the performance, all of you are truly captivating in that. But here is kind of a question I've always wanted to ask you personally, because fantastic composition, but for some people who may not know Igorrr, may just see Igorrr, they may like see the computer on stage and be like, well, this isn't a rock band, this isn't like true rock and roll or true metal. But there's a lot of forethought, I know, that goes into your instrument, and there's a lot of skill that goes into it. What would you say though makes it different in a way? Like, you have to interact with the crowd, but you also have to see what's going on your screen, and you also have to make sure you're hitting the right keys at the same time. So
actually, you have to see Igorrr not as a rock band. You have to see Igorrr not as an electronic band. You have to see Igorrr not as a baroque band. It's something in between. There is no, as far as I know, there is no other band doing a mix like that. I wish there would be, but I don't know any band doing that. I think it's wrong to see Igorrr as a rock band because it's not, and the same is I'm not a DJ. Is not that at all. So it's something really different. And actually, I don't have to keep an eye on my screen. I have to keep an eye on my bottom, my faders and stuff like that. So you are getting yourself completely into it. You are like the last show, like we were playing in Denver yesterday. Again, like you feel a kind of trance. You are not yourself anymore. You are like in the mood, completely in the mood. But still, I remember like yesterday, perfect example in Denver. I was in the mood. I had to close eyes because I was, playing the guitars, playing the things and stuff, and I was so much into it that my eyes were closed. And I know that at this point I have to push one button specifically. And I remember doing that. Like every show, you are closed eyes, but you open one eye and you try to feel your machine, like you know where to push. And then when you feel it, you close the eyes again, and then you can go and you push the right button, and then you start again and again. It's a difficult mix between playing correctly and feeling the music. Feeling the music doesn't help to play correctly at all. Feeling the music makes your head move, makes your finger doing whatever they feel doing, like things everywhere. That doesn't help with playing correctly. The same with the guitars. When you do the helicopter with the hairs, not me, but my guitar player, Martin, he tell me every time, I want to do the helicopter because that's how I feel this riff. But it's a hell to place the right finger at the right moment. It's
that's a talent in itself.
The same with the singer. When they headbang, when they run, it's hard to sing. It's always on stage a matter of finding the sweet spot between playing correctly and feeling the music.
Yeah.
If we play perfectly correctly the music, I think the show will be boring.
Yeah.
Because there is no feeling. If we focus ourselves only on the feeling, the show will be boring as well because the music will be wrongly interpreted. So everything is in this sweet spot, I think.
Yeah, it's 100% too, because like it almost seems like there's a choreography on stage. The first time I saw Igorrr is when you all played at BB King's on back in 2018 or 2019. It was touring with Savage Sinusoid. Shout out to Spotlights who opened that show too. But like that almost seemed like a choreography, the way that you all moved on stage, the way that there was such a performance behind it. Like the shows are very cinematic in a way. Like I could see an Igorrr show be just as compelling at like Radio City Music Hall or like a Broadway theater as seeing you at a place like Irving Plaza.
Yeah, that was not made in purpose. I mean, we didn't write any choreography, obviously. It's I think we play 100 shows last years, and things are going by themselves. And as I think Igorrr is pretty much extreme music, so you express it in an extreme way. So there are gestures, there are movements, there are many stuff like that. Things are coming by themselves. There is nothing written. I mean, things are going by themselves. We have some change every night. There's some nights you feel it in a different way. So you express it in a different way. But I mean, I think it's the natural process of the things when you play 100 shows, things are going by themselves.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the song too, because like when you play like when you guys went into Chevelle or Horse, if I pronounced that incorrectly, when you brought that out, there was like a dance to it. There's a rhythm that you feel, and people know when that breakdown is going to come in right before the guttural growls come in. I feel like that there's almost like a interpretive dance that could go with anything. I feel that way also about the final track on that album, Au revoir, if I pronounce that correctly.
Au revoir. It means goodbye.
Okay. Oh, au revoir. Okay, there we go.
Au revoir.
Yeah,
yes.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Yeah,
it's French. It just means goodbye. It's the end of the album.
Ciao. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. But like, it seems like that there is sort of like I feel like you could release a dance with every song almost as you could release like a video with every song.
Yes, if I release a track on Igorrr, it means that I feel it with 100% of my body. It's something really, as you said, organic. It's physical, and the tracks on Igorrr are something that I lived. I felt, and the track was a part of me. It's something physical. It goes inside your body. You can, I mean, if you understand the track, if you like the track, it's something you can go deep into. You can feel it with your whole body. So yeah, there is definitely a dance that is possible to make. There is a video clip to make as well. Every track, until now, every track I release has a complete meaning for me, and it can be expressed in video as well, in other medias, you know, like cinema, dance, and paintings as well. I pretty much working with paintings in my head. I mean, colors and stuff. That's how I create also the Igorrr tracks. So yeah, everything is for me a complete thing. So you can easily write a dance or music video on it.
But when you're performing these every night and, performing some of these songs for years now as well, do you really feel the same emotion every single time that you play it? Like, does it really put you back into who you were when that song first came together? Because I'd imagine your attachment to songs evolve and your meanings of the songs evolve too.
Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, I can speak only for myself. I will not speak about the other musician on stage. But for myself, yes, it brings you back when you compose the track, so the original meaning of the track. But actually, every night is different because there is not the same crowds. People doesn't react in the same way. You are not in the same mood. Sometimes you are hungry, you are happy, you are tired, you are like you are happy, you are sad. I don't know. So it's the same source, but it's not the same. How you can say in English? It's the same meaning, but not the same shape. You know.
Definitely, I like that. That's a good quote. But being that everybody else is performing these songs together and has different, different usages in the band and different backgrounds and probably even different emotions as well, does that also add mix to it when the other members are performing this material and vocalizing it and harmonizing it or riffing to it, etc.?
Yeah, it makes again every night, every interpretation of the track very different, because especially on the vocals is a very fragile thing. If you are tired, you hear it right away. If you are angry, you can feel it. It's something really really sensible to the real life. So every interpretation is really different with the vocals. And it also depends with who you play. Every vocalist and every guitar player will have this different sound, different feelings, interpretation and stuff. So yeah, it really depends with who you play. And now we have a lineup that fits pretty much what was expected with the tracks.
Yeah, and I feel like your current lineup as well manages to pull off the older songs really well. I can't wait to see what you make with this lineup as well.
Oh yes, studio. We are definitely going to do some stuff. Yes, but every album takes time. It takes it takes like big resources, and we're definitely working on something like that. Yes.
I can't wait to hear it. Has Igorrr ever approached things from a conceptual standpoint? Because I feel like your albums not only provoke a lot of emotion, but they provoke a lot of thought. Like, I feel like your albums have a lot of like parts that could be read almost. Has Igorrr ever approached things like, could you almost consider an Igorrr album to be a concept album? A lot of people have assumed that.
Concept album?
Yeah.
No, I've never thought about a concept album. I think the way I see it is easier. It's just the Igorrr albums are just an expression of the moments. Just my life is a musical research, is a musical journey, and the album is like a photograph of my musical journey. So it's not something conceptual. It's like a picture of my life, of my inside life. That's how I see it. but I'm not trying to do any concept. Just I'm trying to do basically the music I feel, and I'm trying to do it as good as I can.
And you do it very well.
Thank you, man. But it doesn't go further, you know. I'm not trying to bring. I'm trying to bring new thing that excites me. Thing that I find interesting, new colors, new stuff that has a meaning. But behind that, there is no concept. It's like true music, you know. That's all about music. That's not about something else.
Well, and to have a track titled "Spaghetti Forever," but then like have what is track number 8 on Savage Dinosaur with all of those apopathodia
Apopathodia philatophobie.
Yeah, what you said. Yeah.
Apopathodia philatophobie. It's a short track. It's a bit fun. It's an extreme track, and we wanted like a stupid name for this track. And Apopathodia philatophobie is the less mainstream and less commercial name you can give to a track. You know, so we by this meaning we said right away that we don't want success. We just want to have fun. And the meaning of that it's a phobia. The phobia of being constipated, like you cannot poo. So it's the less commercial track you can ever give, the less commercial name you can ever give to a track, you know?
So it goes without saying that there is plenty of humor that is also involved in your music, despite darkness being expressed in it as well.
Yeah, for me, Igorrr is an expression, a musical expression of life in its entire form. And you are not always in the same mood. So sometimes, I mean, for sure you are doing jokes with your friends and it is a part of your life. Sometimes something really bad happened to you. You are angry or sad or things like that. And Igorrr for me is complete. Igorrr is the complete, my personal, perfect and complete music. And it has to represent everything I experience in life, you know. And sometimes it's funny. It's funny. And on the top of that, the black metal and extreme black metal stuff like that has a funny side as well. It can be taken very seriously, and I really enjoying it. Like the Mayhem albums, I'm really big fan of Mayhem. I would not want to joke on it because it would lose all the sense, you know. Mm-hmm. But I think it has still a funny side, you know, with the makeup, the crabs gesture, the turning hairs and stuff. It's kind of funny. I mean, you can see it's funny if you want. So the jokes are a part of the life itself. So as Igorrr is supposed to represent my personal perfect music, the humor is a part of it.
Yeah, and we're very grateful for it too. I saw just as many people crying at the show in New York City as they were and laughing at the same time. So I think that's tremendous.
That's it. Yeah, you go through all the emotions.
Yep. And I have 2 more questions for you. One of them is I also think Igorrr is as much of a visual experience as it is a sonic experience. The way that, again, I know you said that there's no choreography, but the usages of like, I hate using this term, but for lack of better words, the use of like, there's almost kind of like a dress, a use of costumes and a use of almost kind of like character aesthetic in a way. Do you almost feel like, that maybe there is also portraying an alter ego, maybe for the other members as well? And does the visual experience of Igorrr, like you mentioned that these songs are like paintings in your head, do you feel that maybe like the visual experience for an Igorrr album is just as essential? And do you think about that after an album is done, or do you also have a vision in mind when in the process of creating music?
No, I don't have visual. I don't have a visual representation in my mind. Again, it's all about music, and the visual of an album helps to get into the music. The performance on stage helps to get into the music as well. But the base, the source, and the heart of this project is only music. the visual comes after. The visual comes after to help to give a hand to understand the music. But everything comes after music in Igorrr.
And the final question I have for you: how do you know when you're finished with a song?
That's a tricky thing, but I would say when the track are transparent to me, I will explain myself. When I'm working on the track, like I'm doing now with more tracks, I'm listening to them obsessively, and I'm finding new ideas, new things that improve the track, and I'm doing that for sometimes months, sometimes years. It's an obsessive process, and I'm going until the end. I'm reaching the end of this process when I get to listen to the track, and I change any frequency. The track is less good. So you keep listening again and again, and as soon as you don't feel anything, the track becomes transparent to me, and that's a little ding from the microwave, you know.
Yeah,
it means that is cooked.
That's a very good technical answer, and I appreciate that. Thank you. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today, and for real, thank you so much for your music that really speaks near and dear to us. Is there just anything else with Igorrr you'd like to promote, with this current tour for Spirituality and Distortion, and what else we could be expecting for Igorrr in the future in terms of new music, if you're allowed to say, of course?
What are in the plans? Working on new music. Yes, I got some sketches of tracks. I'm not sure if that's correct. Sketches of tracks, and I just want to keep going in my musical journey, you know. And I found for myself really, really much interesting things that I want to release. But since it's not finished and it's not good enough, even better than the previous music, I will not release anything. I will wait until I have something like solid enough to make a release out of it. So that's our plan. Right now, in the immediate, is like finish this tour. We are on the road for like 1 month. We still have 3 weeks to go, I think, something like that. I'm not sure. We are going back home at the end of October. I think like we are like early October. So we have some road to do and some gigs to make. And after, we come back home and starting back working on my music.
Can't wait to hear it. Thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Igorrr. Be sure to check out Spirituality and Distortion if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. Thank you, everybody.